2016 presidential election was hatched. The ex-president's former fixer, Michael Cohen, today closed the loop on the story that often sounds like it is straight out of a bad mafia movie. Cohen describing Donald Trump operating like a mob boss who became president of the United States, using a back channel to try to keep Cohen quiet and loyal. Cohen also describing going to prison and ultimately breaking with Donald Trump, a man he served for more than a decade. He's answering questions from Trump attorney Todd Blanche. It is sometimes very testy, it's sometimes very flat, and it comes after Michael Cohen recounted to the jury everything in his life that led up to this moment. Cohen describing meeting with Donald Trump in the Oval Office and being reassured that he would get paid for paying off Stormy Daniels, getting reimbursed for the hush money payments, going through it check by check, 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 and by check, and invoice and invoice and invoice and invoice by every last one of them. It was important because each one of these documents amounts to one of the felony charges against Donald Trump. Cohen also described the 2018 raid by the FBI, saying he was, quote, concerned, despondent, and angry. After that, Trump told him this, quote, don't worry, I'm the president of the United States. There's nothing here. Everything's going to be okay. Stay tough. You are going to be okay. That would be the last time the two men would ever speak. Michael Cohen telling the jury that he faced pressure to hire an ally of Rudy Giuliani's attorney, Robert Costello. He acted as a back channel to Trump. At one point, Costello told Cohen this, quote, sleep well tonight. You have friends in high places. The message from Team Trump to Cohen was very clear. He was saying, stay loyal, don't cooperate, don't flip. He's essentially saying it on Twitter at the same time, which also was entered into evidence. Michael Cohen would plead guilty.
Just quickly, it comes down to one thing. Was Cohen acting on his own, or was Cohen being over loyal?
Prosecution's questioning ended with prosecutor Susan Hoffinger asking Michael Cohen if he has any regrets working for Trump, to which he responded, quote, I regret doing things for him that I should not have, lying, bullying people to effectuate the goal. I do not regret working for the Trump organization. As I expressed before, some very interesting and great times. But to keep a loyalty and to do the things he asked me to do, I violated my moral compass and I suffered the penalty, as has my family.
And going on the offense against Michael Cohen, but that hasn't taken place yet. Over the course of the first even several minutes, there was a drawn out back and forth over whether he leaked a story to the press or not. All of us kind of sitting in the courthouse there, we're looking at one another being like, this is not what we anticipated. We're thinking that there was going to be questions about his credibility. But even when Todd Blanche brought up a photo of Michael Cohen wearing a shirt that had Donald Trump behind bars, even then, Michael Cohen was very dispassionate, sort of, yeah, I wore that shirt. In the jury, they have heard this. They know who Michael Cohen here is at this point. And so it's just something else to watch this afternoon unfold, because this morning, when answering the questions of the prosecution, he was a dispassionate, believable figure there. And so far, that is who the jury has in their mind right now.
So I read some of it, and what seemed, I read NBC's reporting that Blanche has spent months preparing for this day, for this moment. But I also wonder.
Well, just quickly, Blanche is making Alina Yabba Dabba Doo look like a decent lawyer.
When the prosecution
he's worse than Giuliani.
They shined a Klieg light on all of Michael Cohen's warts: the lies, the shame, the loyalty, the leaks, the crime. I mean, that's what the second day of direct was.
Right.
I don't think that they did, though. I'm not a lawyer, but if I was Todd Blanche, I would have started out and I would have had a bunch of questions. You've called Donald Trump a jerk. You've called him the worst person on earth. You've called him this. I would have gone on and tried to get that sort of thing out and at least create some sort of narrative and then go into how he's monetized it. But he seemed to be jumping all over. He started strong. I thought right out of the gate he started strong when he's like, we've never met, have we? And then he says, but you've called me, and I think this is like family TV, so I can't say it, but a really horrible thing. And then
Actually, let me just read it out to you. First question to Michael Cohen from Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche. You went on TikTok and called me a crying little shit just before the trial began. Cohen replies, sounds like something I would say.
Really agitated. Michael Cohen's a little bit agitated. but
Michael
we're
Cohen
not
kind of
fireworks
wakes
yet.
up a little bit agitated. You know Todd Blanche, he worked with him.
I did.
Is this his thing?
No. I mean, I don't know why he would start about Michael Cohen calling him names. It seems like he's got a thin skin, and this has nothing to do with him. You would start, I would think the first question of it, you're a convicted liar. You have lied. You've lied to the IRS. You've lied to banks. You've lied to Congress. Like, point out the lies, because that's really his Achilles heel, because he can't quite fully admit all of his lies to this day. I didn't think he really did it on direct, even at the end, when he was still kind of dancing around whether he's admitted, really taken responsibility for all of the crimes, the ones that did not involve Donald Trump, the tax fraud, the bank fraud. That had nothing to do with Trump. And he was still, yes, I pled guilty to it and I don't dispute the facts, but they shouldn't have really come after me for that. And it was really wrong of the prosecutor. Like,
he says they shouldn't have come after my wife, is what he says when that comes out.
He said he shouldn't have come after his wife. He said he was threatened, which, again, like, I don't know the specifics of what happened there, but generally in my experience with that office, that's not generally how these things go. I mean, Jeff Berman in his book said they were surprised when Michael Cohen said that he was going to take a plea. It wasn't something they were expecting. They were expecting to go to trial.
Governor anyway, but it helps with Trump.
Oh, to be a GOP name, eh? The latest must be seen event. No idea why. Guess they need some level of attention.
A month. He's been here a month. I am disappointed in looking at the supposedly American citizens in that courtroom, that the DA comes in and he acts like it is his Super Bowl. And I guess it is, to be noticed. But that's what's happening in this country.
What is that book called? Is it How to Win Friends and Influence Them? How to Lose Friends and They Influence You? There is a title, please, in the comment section. Suffice to say, Joe Exotic is kind of pissed off with Trump. I've called him by his name. Look at his tweet.
Inside Donald Trump's prison cell, the surroundings are like any other small enclosed space. The walls are gray concrete, and a narrow cot with a thin mattress is the only piece of furniture. A tiny metal sink and toilet combo sit in one corner, while a small barred window allows a sliver of natural light to filter in. The sound of clanking bars echoes through the air as guards patrol the hallway outside.
What is...
President Trump is 76 years old. He will die in federal prison.
Trump spends his days pacing the limited floor space. The once powerful man now finds himself in a place of confinement.
Sunday, you probably are fully aware, was Mother's Day, which allowed the Uncle Tim of the Year, also known as the head of ass kissing for the Republican Party. Am I allowed to say that? Dim Scott. How long is he keeping this picture thing going? Yeah? Every so often we get an updated picture. He's still a virgin, by the way. Allegedly. Sue me if I'm wrong.
Who's that?
Confession. I swear a lot. Well, it's not a big deal. I try not to do it in front of my 4-year-old. That being said, don't really get it. We're in 2024 and various people on blue tick Twitter, can you believe it? Bearing in mind how much language of a fornication type the ousted president, the losing president of the United States uses, as in a former guy, you would have thought his sycophants were familiar with the language, but no, outrage! How dare VP Harris have a F-bomb moment? How dare she?
We have to know that sometimes people will open the door for you and leave it open. Sometimes they won't. And then you need to kick that fucking door down. Excuse my language.
The new Meghan McCain, my father, also known as I can't keep a straight face. Eric Trump has a new role in life. Past the makeup. The Gary Busey son of look. Oh, this is crazy, okay? He's just been whining, like really whining on Fox. Is that his new role, just to whine? What he says, by the way, I would love to see Eric Trump cross-examined by somebody like George Conway. Oof.
I have. Honestly, I've been there many days because I love my father. He's an incredible guy, and what they're doing to him is just unthinkable, right? And
I should just add, by the way, Eric Trump wants you to stop laughing at him. Please do not laugh at him.
I have. Honestly, I've been there many days because I love my father. He's an incredible guy, and what they're doing to him is just unthinkable, right? And I say this all the time. No one believes that for $130,000 8 years ago, the entire top brass of the New York DA's office is sitting in court, and they're sitting there and they're giggling and they're laughing, and this is their all-star moment. This is their Super Bowl moment, and they're excited and they're laughing, and they finally have the opportunity to get my father. You know, you have the number 3 from the DOJ in Washington, D.C., who left the DOJ to come into New York with one sole intent, and that's to prosecute my father. But then I look at Cohen, and he's so giddy. He's so happy to say that he was a personal attorney for Donald J. Trump.
Including today.
The personal attorney, and how honored he was and how great it was. And he worked in that role. He worked in that role even after he left the organization. But despite that, for some reason, when he bills a company for a legal expense and they book it as a legal expense, that's a felony. That's a felony according to New York prosecutors. Laura,
Gonna ask you a straight question now. Need you to listen and pay attention. Do you hear the word yes? Do you hear the word no? Or your third option, word salad?
Why stop at 34? Cohen says that he called your dad to make sure that he approved of what he was doing and that he would be reimbursed for everything. He required Mr. Trump sign off basically on everything. That's what he repeated throughout the day.
Yeah, isn't that really interesting? Because it kept on getting delayed and delayed and delayed, and Michael Cohen kept on making excuses. They couldn't get the payment, and then he finally comes out in one of the emails that says that, well, I can't get in touch with him.
But did he sign off on everything, your dad?
You know what? I can't get in touch with the president. You know why? Because he's in Iowa, and he's campaigning in every swing state, and he couldn't get him. You know, it's really amazing how he comes out. And I mean, the email chains clearly show this. But Laura, that's not what this is about. They want to take my father down in New York. They want to do it civilly. They want to do it criminally. They want to do it in Georgia. They want to try and do it in Washington, D.C. They go to the farthest left areas of this country. They have radical prosecutors, all with one thing in common. They're all funded by Soros, every single one, and they have a damn mission to go after Donald Trump because he's winning in every poll. And when you
that be, and he said, my son Eric is much more involved with it than I am. I've been doing other things. And then he said, you know, he's involved in major final decisions, you know, whatever. That was his quote. I mean, when you read that, what do you think he's saying about Eric Trump's responsibility for the decisions they make?
Well, look, I think that Eric Trump became, in many ways, the face of the company.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'd say those aren't crimes anyway, even if he did say okay.
Of course they're not. NDAs are completely
legal. I mean, that's the point. I would say
NDAs are done anyway. Every single day by every single organization. By the way, every organization, including this one, would go down in flames if an NDA was illegal, because every single organization, every single person has NDAs in that world.
What kind of a...
Should we have one more go at flogging this dead wooden spoon that is Eric Trump attempts to do a interview? The crowd size of Trump's New Jersey, whatever it was, Trump Fest. Well, apparently it is the biggest gathering of skid marks since Dirty Laundry first gathered behind the back of a laundry.
Wildwood on Saturday, where he has 100,000 people show up, 100,000 people.
Yeah.
I mean, Bruce Springsteen can't pull half of that amount,
Don't steal our thunder. We're getting into
trying not to, but I'm excited about this.
The world's greatest lawyer is on its way. Ungreatest. So that's a very bad joke. Let me just explain the conundrum of how it works. So, former guy turns up at court and quotes Fox News as evidence that he's innocent. Fox News quotes Trump as evidence that he's innocent. Oh, I'm confused.
You know, former President Trump stood in the hallway there saying that all of these legal experts keep saying there's no crime there. And I've been going through all of the reports, all of the editorials, all of the left-leaning news sources. I can't find a legal analyst out there who's actually explaining how a crime was committed here, how there.
He's just in the way. This can turn to you. It could turn to me. It could turn to our children. And that's what they're doing. They're indoctrinating, they're corrupting, and they're throwing out the American Constitution that our country was made on. It is completely out the window. It's so sad to see, Sean. It has to stop.
It has to stop. All right.
Well, they don't. J.D. Vance was on his phone the entire time. He wasn't taking in a word of testimony. Tuberville, to his credit, straight ahead, listening, taking it all in as best he can, whatever sense he can make of it. But J.D. Vance, there was really no reason for him to come if he wasn't going to take in anything that was happening.
Lawrence, he tweeted that it's not fair to accuse Donald Trump of falling asleep and not being with it because he's, as he says, is 39 years old and he was almost falling asleep.
Yeah, there you go. So they're there to corroborate they're there to help with the sleep defense. Okay, that I guess that's where the vice presidential auditioning begins. Can you come in the courtroom and please help with the sleep defense?
Also, something that may have been in jest, an episode of The West Wing. Lawrence O'Donnell, thank you. And for more on all of Lawrence's observations from...
You learn something every single time Nepo Trump opens her mouth. Did you know, being a loser is all part of God's plan for the Trump family? Well, there's a new one for the RNC. Maybe that'll work for them, because it's all about the grift, by the way. Somebody give me something funny to say about Lara Trump, please, because she's stealing all of my jokes just by opening her gob.
I'll tell y'all something. The 2020 election was really tough. We put our blood, sweat, and tears into it in our family. Man, did we pour everything we had into that election. And none of us in this room, and especially none of us in our family, liked what happened. But I believe that God had a plan. And as much as we are hurting as a country right now, as terrible as it is to see day in and day out what is going on, the complete void at the White House, because I don't even know what you want to call that going on there. I believe that God had to do this so that so many people could wake up and see what is going on. And ladies and gentlemen, they are waking up every day. They are seeing what is going on. And let me tell you something. Once you are awake, you do not go back to sleep. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. People in this country are starting to realize what's going on. And so I'm ready for November 5th, 2024.
Very depressing. Both Senator J.D. Vance of Ohio, Senator Tommy Tuberville of Alabama said they were just there to support a friend. But both then criticized Trump's former fixer, Michael Cohen. Vance also attacked the judge's daughter, repeating claims made by the former president. Joe, yes. Courtrooms aren't supposed to be like Studio 54 and 79. They are a little drab. They are a little boring. They are, in fact, a little depressing, but also just the ongoing debasement of these men. I mean, he was the leader of young men for his whole life as a head football coach. No. J.D. Vance is a United States Marine, for God's sake, where it's all about honor, and you just watch them performatively outraged on behalf of the man, I guess, who they want to be the vice president or close to power or something. It's very sad.
It's different stories for both of these men. Tommy Tuberville wasn't exactly sure who fought in World War II and what World War II was fought for. But J.D. Vance, I mean, we could get the clips. J.D. Vance, was wearing his little Silicon Valley vest, talking about, I like San Francisco, and he was like, he was the elite's elite. He was the toast of the town. Oh, please tell us how poor white people live in Ohio. And he's like, well, yes, could you give me some more Chardonnay, please, love? And he did that routine, made a lot of money doing that, and then he decided he wanted to run for Congress. But before he did, and I just have to remind people of this because nobody remembers this stuff. J.D. Vance said in 2016 that if you loved Jesus, you couldn't support Donald Trump. He didn't say that like in 2002 in Silicon Valley or like, say buy, sell. He said that in 2016. If you love Jesus, if you were a Christian, you cannot support Donald Trump. Now furiously on the vice presidential treadmill, he has changed his mind and has decided that this is the most noble of men. In his porn star trial in a very, very depressing courtroom. And if Tommy Tuberville would like a list of really great interior decorators across Alabama, Northwest Florida, I could give him some people. I talked to my friends in Pensacola. I'd say, hey, could you go fix up the courtroom? Because Tommy Tuberville says it's depressing. It's just the stupidity of it all.